using a lot of smaller bags, backpacks, roll top waterproof bags, depending on what you're keeping in it, document pouches, medical bags, trauma care kits, that sort of stuff. Keeping it compartmentalized, keeping it packed. All right, let's talk about Bugout bags and strategies for packing things so that you can actually efficiently grab your things and go if you ever need to in case of emergency, evacuation, fleeing your home, whatever it is. Having things packed and ready in a way that makes sense, in a way that you can then grab and go and you're not left opening bins, shuffling through stuff, trying to find what you actually need. Having things prioritized and packaged in a way that you can grab them, put them all together, put them in the car and leave the house within a reasonable amount of time, I think is super important and something that is, I think, a very valuable thing for anyone to do, especially when it comes to basic necessities and things that you do need to take with you if you have to evacuate. We're going to talk about a lot of things when it comes to kind of the strategy for packing stuff. I'm not going to go into individual items that much because there's just a lot of individual things in all of these bags, but I do kind of want to talk through kind of the categories and why I packed things in the way that I did when it comes to different types of items. So something that someone asked a couple of times in my comments on TikTok when we were talking about like just stuff to have prep, stuff to have pre-packed, was medicine, medical supplies, that sort of stuff. Absolutely highly recommend having that packed at all times. We have a larger like home medical first aid kit upstairs, but we do keep this ready to go in the vehicle. Like it's right by the door, so we take it with us anytime we leave home anyways. This has kind of emergency trauma gear, EpiPens, Narcan, tourniquets, like trauma wound treating stuff, as well as just like a boo-boo kit. So like antiseptics, alcohol wipes, Band-Aids, that sort of stuff, but all the way up to the really serious things, because those are the type of things where like having a tourniquet, having an EpiPen, having Narcan is the difference between saving someone's life and them not lasting long enough for emergency services to get there. Or if you're evacuating, there might not be emergency services coming and you just need to do the best that you can. So having something like this, which is these are toll roll bags, open up, they have a bunch of individualized little packets. So we can have this kind of set up the way that we want, including like trauma shears, Sharpies, glow in the dark, glow sticks, and then starting at like super important EpiPen, tourniquets, Narcan, like first level of stopping the bleed, like emergency stop the bleed, clotting agents. Second level, which is like stuff to apply pressure, bandages, that sort of thing. And like comfort meds. So this would be like your Band-Aids, your antiseptics, your alcohol wipes, your like Advil, Tylenol, Pepto-Bismol, that sort of stuff, Benadryl. Stuff that is, again, if you're just not feeling great, this is something that you do want to have with you. It's just like to lower swelling, get rid of a headache, stomach ache, whatever it is. This is a great thing to have. So like little tools like tweezers, trauma shears, and this thing, which is Burn Shield. This is a kit specifically to treat extreme burns because unless you have a lot of other stuff on hand, treating a really bad burn can in some cases make the burn worse if you don't treat it properly. Burns can go a lot deeper even after like the source of the burning has stopped. So having something that stops the damage from burning into your flesh is super important. It's something that I highly recommend. It has like burn gel and a couple of other things in there. So we keep all of this stuff packed all the time. We do keep this inside because things like Narcan and EpiPens should be kept like not frozen, like they should not be allowed to freeze. And so keeping them inside in the house, but we do keep it by the door. It comes in the car with us everywhere we go. And so obviously in an evacuation scenario, this absolutely comes with us, as well as probably grabbing a couple of other things, any like prescriptions and things that you actively use in the house, making sure that you're bringing those along with you. Maybe they get stuffed into another bag. So this is one. All right, another one that we keep pre-packed. This is a mag-pulled DACA pouch. This is a water-resistant, highly water-resistant pouch for keeping documents safe. And what we keep in here when it comes to like stuff that we want to be able to just like get into our safe, grab this and take it, and not shuffle through papers, not try to find the important stuff, whatever it is. This holds a little bit of cash as well as any documents that we would have to go to the government to have replaced. That's not like we don't trust the government, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we don't, but that's not what this is about. This is like, after a disaster, you do not want to have to wait on the government to get a new social security card or a passport or birth certificate, anything that identifies your child as your child, anything that identifies you and your partner as being married, that sort of stuff. One pouch, go grab it. And this just comes with us in that type of scenario. We obviously don't just like carry this around with us. So that is, again, something that's just pre-packed, ready to go. Something that is very topical right now because of the fires going on in Los Angeles is gas masks. We keep pretty substantial ones around. We keep these like packaged in a closet. So like this bright blue bag, it's easy to find, easy to identify. Like this is our gas mask for that type of scenario, whether it's a wildfire, chemical leak, whatever it is. I mean, we've had chemical leaks in this area. West Virginia has pretty lax regulations, and we see stuff happening at chemical plants around here. So having something that can, keep you safe outside is important. After the fires, we've been seeing a lot of really cheap gas masks being pushed on TikTok Shop for like $20. I'm not going to go on record and say like those are like trash, they're scams, they don't work. But when purchasing high quality gas masks and canisters, the actual filters that go on them, the canisters from any reputable dealer cost more than $20, not to mention the mask itself. So we have full face respirators with the cans to go on it. The cans are CBRN cans, so they can filter just about everything. And this does get a full seal, so you also protection for your eyes, which in a wildfire scenario, any other like leak scenario, like being able to see is super important. And there's not a whole lot of like really good like goggles that will also fit with a respirator separately. And we just really wanted to have the full face shield. This also, in my mind, works a lot better if you are wearing this and defending yourself in a certain scenario. It has a lot better peripheral vision. And yeah, if you train with it, it's worth having on in that type of scenario. So yeah, this stays packaged. This is in a closet with a lot of other stuff that's like grab and go, grab and go, grab and go. Again, something that just stays packaged. It's not shoved into a box somewhere loose with all the stuff. This is everything that is needed for us to have gas masks on our face, ready to go. All right, coming down the line, this bag is kind of my general use bag, so I don't always keep this fully packed. I do keep this generally packed. There's just some general day-to-day stuff that I always keep in this bag. It sometimes gets dumped out and other stuff put in it if I'm taking this for like a day trip somewhere. But in general, this is like my primary bag. So like this is what I would put clothes in, any like toiletry stuff, food, water. Like this is my personal like heavy bag. Like I can carry this bag really comfortably up to like 70 or 80 pounds. It's a really good bag. It's from Mystery Ranch. It's their like 3-day assault pack. Love this bag. And this is my kind of general bag. So I keep it available, semi-packed, ready to be repacked on like the day of something happening. And so as you can see, it's somewhat deflated here, but I keep this, again, identifying and knowing that like this is the bag that I grabbed for that. And there's just no question. I'm not looking around like, what bag do I grab? This is the one that I go for that. Always. This bag is also kind of a day bag for me. This is the one that I almost always keep empty. And this is for tech. I work from home, small business owner, my wife and I both. And so while this may seem like kind of a vanity thing, like, oh, I need to grab my laptop and charger and like mouse and stuff. That's what I use for work. That's the only thing that pays our bills, or that pays our bills from my end. My wife works too. But this fits laptop, all that tech stuff, chargers, cables, batteries, that sort of stuff. And this one I keep as just that because it's easy to like, if I need to pull stuff out of it, that's pretty simple. And I just keep it very centered on that category of stuff. Like battery chargers, backups for phones, that sort of thing. All the tech stuff just goes in here. And so again, I'm not looking through like, oh, did I stick that in this pocket? Like, did I stick that in that other pocket? No, like this is the tech bag. And then a couple of other questions that I got relating to kind of what to have prepared for like going out the door. If you know something's kind of coming in a bad situation and you are getting ready for that, you kind of like know to set stuff out. Someone mentioned keeping a chainsaw out as well as like if it's a battery operated one, keeping the batteries charged and ready to go. If it's gas, keeping your gas can stuff out. That is not my personal plan. I do not keep a chainsaw ready for that. I don't plan on taking a chainsaw with me. One, if I'm going to be taking gas in the car, it needs to make the car go further. And chainsaw gas has an oil mixture in it that I wouldn't want to put in the car. I won't say that it won't work. I wouldn't want to try it. And it's also just, again, if I'm taking something in there that's going to create fumes in an enclosed space with myself, my wife, and my son, it better be for the car, and not creating stuff that can spill. So like not taking really anything that has an engine other than the vehicle itself. What I will say is taking a good handsaw. This is a Fiskars. There's a couple of different brands that make really good handsaws like these. These are super sharp and work really well if you need to cut your way through downed branches, down trees, in the road that you like can't drive over or around. Something like this is absolutely worth having. It is also really compact. This slots into a bag really easily, or just stick it in your side door, because it's something, if you're jumping out of the car to clear the path, you don't want to have to go and unpack everything. So keeping this somewhat available, and in general for keeping things packed and packaged. I do have a bin that for like the farm itself is like all of my like storm clearing, woodworking, or like lumberjacking stuff, all my timbering stuff, all my chainsaw equipment, protective gear, that sort of stuff. And this is in there as well. So like this again is not, I'm not tearing apart my workshop trying to find this. I know exactly where this is packed, and it is with stuff that is in the same category. Along with this, because sometimes there's going to be stuff that like sawing through is just going to take too long. Or I mean, if somehow you're really sawing at it and this breaks, I always take an axe. Always have a decent axe. There's definitely other brands you can get. This is a Holtzbrook Agdor axe. It's really nice. I got it as a gift a couple of years ago. I take very good care of it. I keep it in the sheath other than when it's being used, and I don't generally use this if I'm out logging. I have cheaper axes that I'm not afraid to break that I take out. This one does get some good use though, and this is absolutely, always comes in the car if we're leaving, because again, this is something I can slot in the side of my backpack to take with us if we need to fell branches to make a fire, whatever that third or fourth stage of an evacuation looks like. If we are stuck outside and need to make shelter, that sort of stuff, having an axe is arguably the best tool you could have with you if you know how to use it properly. That's an important part. Don't just buy this and stick it away and like assume that you can do what you see on like Alone or Survivor. Something like this. Something else that I keep on, I wanted to show this as an example, a good pry bar. Gaining entry to places may be really important. I keep something that is more robust in the car at all times, more of like a breaching tool with an axe head on it. Keep that in the vehicle, as well as bolt cutters. Again, if you are fleeing, evacuating, whatever it is, and your safety and your family's safety is at risk, like you can't let a chain stop you from protecting yourself and your family. So having ways to get into places or through gates or whatever you need to do, through barricades, whatever it is, having ways to get through obstacles, just like keeping this with you, is super important. Another thing when it comes to tools, a good multi-tool is going to go a long way, especially when it comes to just anything you need to make repairs to, anything you need to just cut, open, whatever you need to do. A good multi-tool. Leatherman is my go-to. There are a lot of other brands you can choose. Gerber is decent. We have one upstairs that we just use for like the house. This is the one that like every day if I'm leaving the house, it goes in my pocket. Because it, as opposed to having to carry like a knife or a blade or anything like that, just having something like this, it's so functional that it kind of is silly not to have one if you're in this type of situation. So keep one of these with you. And this is something that just goes in like my daily little bin, like beside like my wallet, my concealed carry, that sort of stuff. Like if I'm leaving the house, it's all going in the pockets. So that is good to have. Now with all of this, we've talked through all these different ways that I compartmentalize stuff. I think for me at least, it's really important to consider one, getting all of this stuff from your house to your car. And then in the event that you are, running or driving from home, heading up the highway, whatever, cars get backed up and you need to leave your vehicle, having to carry all of these individual things is really daunting, because it's just a lot and it's cumbersome, it's awkward, just trying to hold on to everything. Trying to pull it all out of the car individually it's hard. And so the thing that I've come up with over the past couple of years is to have one master bag. So this right here is the Camp 4 duffel. This is a 135 liter duffel bag made by Mountain Hardware. I got this super on sale a couple of years ago for like 90 bucks. I think it normally retails for closer to 150. And what this is, so it packs up really nice and tight. I can stuff this in my closet upstairs. But when we have all of these little bags, having something like this, which unpacks into a giant bag, so now I have this enormous bag to work with that can then house all of these other things. And again, you know, kind of packing logically, gas masks are, depending on your situation, gas masks are maybe less than likely, or you've already opened them and you're wearing them as you go out to your car. So let's get those in. Going to this bag, get this in. This bag is in. Spin that around, that'll pack a little bit better. Med stuff. This doesn't really have to go in this bag. I think it's just better because, again, you're not, if it rolls around in the car, you're not looking for it. It didn't roll under a seat. It's just there. There and easy to find. There's also a side pouch if you want to keep anything separate, anything that for some reason you are stopped and made to show your papers. Having them easy to find is also important. I generally keep the tools and stuff loose. I can always put it into a bag or strap it onto a bag if we ever have to get out of the car and go without the whole thing. Keeping the tools separate just makes it easier to hop out of the car and grab that and clear an obstacle on the road. And for reference, I mean, we live in a very rural area. So when I'm talking about these things, I'm not talking about this in like a hypothetical whatever. Like very regularly, if we have storms, I have to go up to our road and cut branches and trees and stuff down so that like people can get through our road. Like it's something that happens up here a lot. If you live in a rural area, especially in Appalachia, we have windy roads that cut through hillsides. Having down trees and branches happens quite a bit. And so like, that's kind of a no-brainer. If you live somewhere where like you don't drive through trees, you know, if you live in Southern California where like you don't have like huge shrouding trees over all your roads, like maybe that's not the right answer for you. Or if you live out in the plains. But for us, that is like an absolute must. Need to have ways to clear branches. So then we're going to talk about kind of depending on the situation that you're in, whatever situation you are running from or into, keeping yourself and your family safe is a huge priority, maybe your number one priority. Something that is non-lethal, something that you can buy, I think, anywhere. There's probably states that prohibit it. If you live rurally, I'd recommend having one anyways. That's bear mace. Bear mace is really, really powerful. It's meant for bears. It works very well on people, meaning that taking this, I wouldn't just put this in the bag, like something put like in the door of your vehicle. Again, depending on your situation, whether you're dealing with a wild animal or you're dealing with people, getting people away from your vehicle, away from your family, keep this in the door of your car. Another thing I forgot to mention is your gloves. Make sure you bring good gloves. If it's like right now where you're snowed in and it's snowy and you have to get out and do anything outside, if you didn't bring gloves with you, that's going to suck enormously. Bring good gloves, keep those out and available kind of with your other tools. Then, of course, all this stuff is in here, all the bags that we looked at. There's still a considerable amount of space. So this is absolutely up to you, your situation, your level of comfort. For me, I will also always take my personal choice in defending myself and defending family. And this, again, slots in here, tucks away very nicely. And for stuff that relates to that, supporting gear and kit that supports actions like that. Turn this thing around. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. obviously, I do want to mention, if you are bringing something that is if you are bringing a personal protection tool that is long like that, and you actually have reason to believe that you're going to need it, you don't need to be bringing this if you are not carrying something on your person. Just to be very clear, like, getting to this is not a like guaranteed thing. Most of the threats you may have to deal with in any kind of scenario are going to be rushing you. It's not going to be something you're going to get to see from far off. It's going to be someone who's approaching you. So making sure that you have something on your person that, in the absolute worst scenario, can be used to get to this, but you need to make sure that like you have something with you that is in between you and someone else, if that makes sense. I don't want to go too far into it. Social media platforms don't enjoy talking about that. But yeah, keeping this in here, supporting gear, kit, stuff like that, ready to go. And yeah, this whole bag, the zips closed. As you can see, like, it's not stretching at all. It is maybe 50 pounds. And this does have backpack straps, so you don't just have to carry this around like a duffel. You can throw this on as a backpack. If we do have to leave the vehicle and like run, I can just drag this out, put it on my back, carry whatever else you need to grab and go. And that's the purpose of this bag. Obviously then, in this scenario, that if we do have to then leave on foot and just need to get this away from the vehicle and get somewhere else, we can then use this to stage whatever is next, right? So if we are then having to leave behind and have to go on foot, I'm not going to carry this whole thing forever. Depending on the scenario, that's when you open this up, you have all these things compartmentalized. So you then can decide stuff you maybe want to leave behind, putting on like my main pack, which can also fit the medical kit in it, taking a personal defense tool, wearing the kit that is in this bag. So again, not carrying a bag, it's something that goes on my person. It can go under a jacket, it can go under a coat. But again, deploying out of this bag versus just planning on carrying this indefinitely, because this isn't the comfiest load-bearing straps for this. This is not meant to hike, for days with, but it does work really well for the short term. I've traveled with this bag a lot. I've traveled with it much heavier than it is right now. And so, yeah, just keeping that in mind, when I suggest a big bag like this, or a big container, something that you can drag out of the vehicle and get away from your vehicle if you need to for whatever reason, a big bag like this is optimal. I absolutely love this. We are looking at getting a second one of these because now, this is a system that I devised before we had a baby. And so now we have, a go bag for him, and my wife has her own individual bag. This does hold, this part of this plan is all of the food, water, that sort of stuff that we would need. But there's additional stuff for our baby that has a lot of individual bags when it comes to his clothes, diaper bag, his personal go bag, which has kind of medicine, that sort of stuff. We are looking at getting a second bag like this because all those things are pre-packed again. And so having another bag that my wife can just pull out, dump that stuff in, zip it up, be ready to go. Just having two big bags that hold everything and can just go in the back of the vehicle and we can get out. Another consideration, if this feels really overwhelming, if this just feels like a lot, you can definitely look at different types of bags. I do have a very big camping bag that would probably come with us because I do just keep it packed for camping all the time. This big bag, which is very, very good for load bearing, it is not very comfortable, just overall. I got it for a while and it's too big for me to walk comfortably if I'm carrying anything else. But this would be something just throw in the back of our vehicle. It does have a tarp for shelter. There's cooking stuff in here, both of our sleeping bags. That sort of stuff is all packaged in here all the time. Fire starting stuff, maps, navigational stuff, compass, all that sort of stuff is in here. And again, this is something we just keep packed all the time. If we need to break it open and drag stuff out of it, we can do that. If we need to completely unpack it and set up a shelter, we can do that. This is not a bag that I consider wearing and going off with it because it just has shelter, camping, fire starting, that sort of stuff in it. But I would tear it apart and take individual things out if we did need to break everything down and go on foot. So I did want to mention that. With this big bag, this might be all you need. This is, I want to say it's 90 liters. I don't remember exactly. Might be 70. But it's a pretty chunky bag. It carries a lot. It does have the good like waist. I don't know why I'm motioning to my waist as if you can see it. It does have really good load bearing stuff in it. It does have a slight frame in there, so it's not just a loose sack. It's structured pretty well with different pouches. It's just, after getting it and hiking with it a few times, camping with it a few times, it is just not the bag that I ever want to have to walk 50 miles in. That's kind of what it comes down to. It's just not a bag that is comfortable for me and my size, my body shape. It's not comfortable for me to just carry indefinitely. The Mystery Ranch bag that I have I could carry that forever, almost no matter how heavy it is. If the straps can hold, it's comfortable for me to carry. Comfortable enough. All right. All right, so now that we have this down, we talked about kind of, packaging things up, getting things compartmentalized and ready to throw into a big bag like this, so you can just get it all together and leave. One of the things that I do also want to mention, this is kind of this general stuff for like this time of year, especially winter. Always keep a nice, thick, warm blanket in your vehicle at all times. Like, just keep a blanket in there. Ideally, keep some fire starting stuff in there too. But if you are, bugging out, if you're evacuating, whatever it is, this type of weather out, take your like cold weather gear with you. Don't put it all on and then go into the car, because you probably don't need it immediately. But if you do need it, you do want to have it with you. So like overalls, if you have them, like big, thick, insulated overalls, your thickest winter coat, an extra pair of boots. So I do have these. These are Sorel Bear boots. These are super nice, really well insulated. They're a good alternative like right now, if we're dealing with really thick and heavy snow, like I wouldn't probably wear these, like slipping these on to leave, but I would absolutely want to have these in the vehicle in case we do have to leave on foot and stay on foot for a while. These are wonderful in deep snow. Really, really good. Highly recommend a good pair of insulated boots that have ways to cinch them tight at the top so snow doesn't get down inside. It keeps your feet dry and warm, which is a huge bonus in the long term. So yeah, I think that answers all the questions that I got on my TikTok video, kind of proposing this video. I'm hoping that this was helpful. Again, the main method for this is using a lot of smaller bags, backpacks, roll top waterproof bags, depending on what you're keeping in it, document pouches, medical bags, trauma care kits, that sort of stuff. Keeping it compartmentalized, keeping it packed. Like there are a few things that we probably grab from like our medicine cabinet in the event that we like knew that we were going to have to go. But if we needed to leave like so fast we couldn't even like look in there, we have smaller versions of anything that we would be grabbing from there, if that makes sense. So like keeping general things just packed. It's just always a good method. It's good practice, because with all of this stuff as well, and I think maybe the most important part is bugging out is always the last, like that's the last priority, last step. Like if you have to bug out, then like every other step to there has failed. Every other like possibility has been exhausted. Like your house is no longer safe. You have to leave. Worst case scenario. But having all this stuff packed up means that in the stages leading up to that, if you just have a bad power outage, all your fire starting gear is in the camp bag. Cold weather stuff, you have it generally ready. Medical bags, EpiPens, that sort of stuff. It just keeps it all together so that like in an emergency at home, like you're not leaving home, but you just have an emergency at home. You know where all this stuff is because you've packed it. You have it pre-packed. You can just go to the shelf, to the closet, grab that bag off the shelf, and then deploy with that and open it up and get whatever you need. I just think that's so important because, again, there's a lot of talk like romanticizing bugging out, getting into the woods, blah, blah, blah. The only time like we've ever like really used that type of gear has been at home in an emergency and like long-term power outages, having to cook over a fire, things like that. And so having stuff prepackaged, just having stuff like you just know that like if you can't find anything like around the house, stuff got moved, flashlights got moved, whatever, I know that like I have headlamps in one of these bags. Easy. Like knowing that you have these things set aside is not only peace of mind, it is I think really important to be able to respond to emergencies, to make them less dire, less panicky, because that is when things start to fall apart. Whenever we start to panic, we can't find a thing, we start hyperventilating, we just can't deal with the stress of dealing with something that is stressful and not knowing how to respond. And so having the stuff set aside just removes that mental process. Like it's a thing to check off the list, not a thing to figure out, if that makes sense. Kind of a second stage to this, which talking about like cooking food over a fire made me think of this. If you do have the time, like if you get all the stuff together and you're just like, we have more room in the vehicle, like what else could we take with us? Having something like this rocket stove, like I would take this along with. Like our camping kit has like titanium cookware, a couple of things like that, like has stuff to prepare food if we need it. Obviously then we would have to be building a fire, kind of bushcrafting it up to make a little structure we could put that cookware on. This takes all that guesswork out. It also makes a fire and makes it hot enough to like boil water or melt snow and boil it, that sort of thing really quickly with just sticks. You don't need to go harvesting firewood. Just like little sticks can get this thing roaring hot. If you look back at my TikTok, I have other videos like showing how this works and showing how well it works. So having something like this is it's a luxury item, but in the end, like it's going to be a luxury to reduce the amount of time and effort you have to put in to make food, which reduces the amount of calories you have to burn to consume calories, which is important part. If you are in a state where you are having to cook food outside, you're probably in a situation where you do not want to be expending calories needlessly. So like sawing, chopping wood, really getting a fire going and like waiting for it. That is all time and calories wasted when you could have something like this that will help you along the way. All right, so I hope that helps. I hope that answers a lot of questions that I had and comments on multiple platforms. I know this is a little bit of a long form video. This is all on YouTube and being cut up for other platforms as well. If you do have other questions, if you want to know more specifics, because I know I didn't go into a lot of individual items. I don't generally like to do a lot of like product recommendations unless you're really looking like, I'm trying to find a good hand saw. Do you have any recommendations? And yeah, like I can give you a couple. There's no brand loyalty. There's no like, oh, I only use this because XYZ. There's no status. Like if something works, use it. If something works just as well and it's cheaper, there's no shame in going for the cheaper thing. With the knowledge that like if you're getting things to put into a kit for this type of scenario, you're not using it every day. It doesn't need to be used every day and stand up to that use for 10 years. Like it just needs to work a couple times. Save money and get something that's going to work for what you need it for. Like you don't need professional grade tools if you aren't going to use them like a professional. Essentially, is what that comes down to. If you're not going to be using something enough, don't spend a bunch of money on something that is made to be used that much. If you can put that money to use getting other stuff that's more important. So I hope that helps. Again, get in the comments, ask me about anything specific that you want to know, specific products, specific categories that you would like some more insight on. I know we didn't really touch on like food and water, because it's kind of into the weeds when it comes to like what to pack, because it's really specific to you and me and my family, like really specific as far as like what we would pack. It's probably not what a lot of people would pack. The big thing I can say is pack food that you actually want to eat. Don't pack MREs unless like you just have a bunch of extra space. MREs are great as a last ditch scenario. But pack food that you want to eat, especially again, like you're not planning to go into the woods and live forever. You're planning on getting to another location, hopefully, either a hotel or family member's house, someone in another state, a friend. You just need something to get you through until then. So make sure that you are packing for a couple of days. And it doesn't have to be full meals, but just pack food that you want to eat. Food is love. And when things are going really, really bad, like a decent meal that feels familiar is going to go a long way. Having to sit on the side of the road and eat lukewarm mac and cheese MREs, like that's not a stop you're going to be excited to make a second time. So make sure food acts as a morale booster. Stay safe out there. Be kind. Be compassionate. Take care of yourselves.